Guess who's back? Back again. I am back. Ooh, tell a friend. I hope you enjoyed my beautiful singing. Welcome to another sketch with me / warm-up video. Today I'm sketching two people in extreme dynamic poses. I like to warm up with dynamic poses because I find it to be a very efficient way to switch into the creative mode of my brain. I also love to do these types of sketches because it's a great way to practice not only shape language and poses, but also your drawing speed, especially if you set a timer for each sketch. I recommend 5, 10 or 15 minutes at the longest. The reason I prefer putting a timer on these types of drawings is because it forces you to break down your drawing into the most basic shapes possible. It forces you out of the detailing trap, as I like to call it, where you hyper-focus on the details of whatever you're drawing. Being detail-focused is not a bad thing at all. I do that a lot with my portraits. But if you want to practice shape language and dynamic poses, it's a real helpful way to force your brain into creative mode. As you may have noticed at the beginning of the video, I started out drawing some very basic lines to capture the movement of the dynamic pose. This is what it's all about, if you ask me. The lines help me understand where the movement is, where gravity is pulling, etc. It might look like I'm just copying the reference, which I basically am, but I'm doing so in a way that breaks down what is actually happening, so my brain can learn to replicate it easier next time. I've done these types of warm-ups many times by now, and at this point I no longer have to put in every single guideline or guide shape I've learned in the past. Now I just put down very few lines to determine where things should be. I'm not looking at the reference as a person jumping in air. I'm looking at the photo as a bunch of lines in relation to each other. For example, I look at the line of this person's left shoe, the one placed underneath the armpit. I can see that the heel is placed underneath the armpit, so that's where I place his shoe. I can see that his neck is placed above his armpit, so that's how I know where to place the neckline. I can see that his right arm is slanted horizontally, and there is approximately so and so much space between his elbow crease and the right side of his face. So that's how I know where to place his face and the rest of his head. And so on and so forth. The more you practice this, the faster you'll get at placing everything where it should be. I don't think about it as much now, because my brain has gotten used to working like that from all the practice. I adjust lines if I can see they don't match up with the breakdown of the pose, and that's how I'm able to create the likeness to the photo. Some people have another trick where they turn their reference upside down. This helps the brain to stop seeing a person and can help you focus on the actual shapes and lines much easier. I haven't tried this technique myself, but it makes a lot of sense if you're having difficulty entering that mind space. After I get down the pose, I start sketching in more detail. I go about the details exactly the same way. I don't see a shirt, I see a bunch of lines and curves. I find one line on the left of this person's torso and put it in relation to, quote unquote, an anchor point on the other side of the torso. It's all about line relation for me personally. Eventually I have a drawing that looks relatively close to the actual photo. Then I create a new layer underneath and start jotting down some values. I like to do this in grayscale because it's much easier and faster figuring out shadows and light when you use grayscale instead of full colors. This other person is also doing an extreme pose. I have no idea how they can stand like this, but I thought it would be fun to draw. I go about it exactly the same way as the other one. Jot down some lines and try to put them in relation to each other. I often use the knees as anchor points when drawing full bodies. On the photo you can see the knees are slightly slanted if you imagine a horizontal line between the knees, so I try to replicate that. Same with the arm, I use the elbow in relation to the hips and torso to kind of figure out where to place the arm. Eventually you might be able to just draw bodies and extreme poses flawlessly from imagination, but if you want to do some quick practice, I highly recommend this exercise. Even though I rarely draw full bodies for Instagram, I like to practice these things just so I keep refreshing it and learn more each time. Again, don't get caught up in details. Their faces may look weird AF, but the point is not to draw something pretty, but to help you learn body poses, shape language, speed, and to warm up before you do your actual artwork. You can hyper-focus all you want on your actual artworks, but it's really priceless to be able to sketch full poses super fast. Time is precious, my friends. Anyway, I guess that's it. Thank you all so much for watching and for subscribing. You're all helping me get closer to my dream of becoming a full-time artist one day. A girl can dream. Have an amazing day.